Hi sisters, it's me. I'm back with another video, and today my topic is gonna be about my domestic violence story. Now, I had a long day. I know I'm looking rough. It was 90 degrees today, and I'm just sitting in my car reflecting, and it's been weighing heavy on me these last couple of days, so why not talk about it? I haven't really talked much about it since it all occurred, and I feel like I'm in a stable enough place mentally to just like get it off my chest and really accept it and move on. Um, yeah, so like and subscribe this channel, please, and comment down below any ideas for videos you want me to talk about, and let's get right into the video. So my high school sweetheart ended up being my husband. We were together for 8 years, and we were best friends, literally, like best friends before lovers, best friends before marriage or kids, anything. Like literally, we wouldn't go nowhere without each other. It was just an instant love connection, love at first sight, if you want to say that, if people believe in that. But that's what it was. And we dated, we dated for 3 years, and we decided together that we were gonna get married and start a family. So that's what we did. And you know, starting off out of high school, things can be like a little bit rough because we're both young, both trying to find our careers, both trying to become stable. But one thing for sure, we never gave up on each other. We always had each other's back, no matter what. So because of that, if things just were like aligned quickly, like we got married, we moved in together, had our first son, you know, working. I was going to nursing school. He was doing his thing in his career. We were just about to open up some businesses together. And he decided that he wanted another child. So it was rough for me because I felt like we finally got settled, and I felt like everything was on the right track financially, and I was just scared to risk it all with another child. And our first child was like around 3-4 years old at the time, and he said he wanted a daughter, and I was just like almost done with nursing school, and I was just like, I don't know, like, you know, pregnancy can be a lot. But anywho, I gave in as a compromising wife, and we welcomed our second child. And after that, all hell broke loose because, sorry, I'm looking around because I'm at the laundromat. All hell broke loose because, of course, with a new baby, everything becomes haywire. Everything is like unorganized, you know, there's stuff all over the place. Our schedules had to be tweaked a little bit with a newborn, and just as I suspected, it was too much to have a newborn at the moment. But you know, trying to do the right thing, trying to do what your husband wants and keep him happy, keep him from straying, you know, that was the ultimate sacrifice that I made. And it just made me want to go 10 times harder. So to pick up the slack for me being off my feet for 9 months, yeah, I worked throughout my pregnancy, but I had to cut my hours because it was a high-risk pregnancy. So the stability that we were used to kind of got sabotaged a little bit when we had our second child. And so my husband also, he was working 2 jobs, and he had to cut back on one. So once I got back on my feet, I went back to nursing school, and I started doing Mary Kay. For those of you who never heard of Mary Kay, it's a beauty consultant company. They offer free facials, free pampering. My information will be down below. It's a very good company that represents women empowerment and just uplifting women in general. They sell amazing products, they offer amazing services, and for a good profit. So I started working my Mary Kay business, and it was taking off. I was getting booked for facials, booked for pamperings, booked for makeovers. I was just booked, okay? And in the midst of nursing school kept me pretty busy too. And Mary Kay started keeping me busy on top of going back to my full-time job. So I was almost barely home. The only time I was home was to make dinner, check on my husband and the kids, and be right back out the door. So I guess in between all of that, sorry, there's flies out here. In between all of that, he started to feel less than a man, I guess, and I had no clue how to accommodate him feeling less than a man, because it's just like, what do I do? What do I say? Things are finally back on track financially. I made the ultimate sacrifice as a wife, and I'm picking up the slack, and now you're hitting me with, I'm making you feel less than a man. So what do I do now? Do I stop doing Mary Kay? Do I cut down my hours at work? Do I drop out of nursing school? All things I was not willing to do, because I just felt like I compromised enough as a wife. So that's where the abuse really started, and I think just deep down inside he became insecure, and he didn't know how to deal with it. It was very disappointing. It was very hurtful. Things got really out of control. Like, every time my phone rang, he wanted to see who it was. If I said I was going to the grocery store, he was video calling me to make sure I was at the grocery store. Like, I come home late at night from a Mary Kay appointments, like, were you sure you were at an appointment? Where were you? Who were you with? What, when, how? It was just like a lot. We would get into a lot of arguments, and oftentimes I would get a bloody nose or a black eye, my clothes torn off of me, just like thinking about it now, I just can't believe I survived. You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about the history of me and my husband, we literally were high school sweethearts, and we built a life together. So we're coming from far. We have a long history. And to see that we basically came from nothing to something and hit such a rock bottom over something minor, it was very disappointing. And I kind of understand his insecurity, because it was almost like he believed in me. He was on my team. He supported me more than anybody else around me. He was always rooting for me. Anything I said I wanted to do, he was like, go ahead, babe, I got your back. So it's almost like I was up here, and he was kind of in the middle, and I was taking off, and he felt like I was leaving him behind. But there was no way for me to kind of understand that at the moment, because all I could understand was the black eyes that I was going home to, the arguments, the hot water being thrown on me, the going through my phone, the accusations of me cheating, just like, it was a lot. And that's all I could think of at the time, because I couldn't really see past the insecurity. In my mind, I was like, what could you possibly be insecure about? Like, I, as a wife, my number one goal is to give you a great life, and you have that. You're comfortable, you're secure, we live a stable life. Our kids want for nothing, you want for nothing. You actually have the freedom to do whatever you want to do and go after your goals with me, because I never left you behind. I supported you 100%. And I just couldn't understand, like, what would make him so damn insecure that he had to abuse me and manipulate me, and now it's like family and friends are starting to notice. I'm trying to hide it. I can't hide it anymore. I'm like going to work depressed and out, and I can't focus. For those of you that know me personally, you know I work in the health field. So like that, in that field your mind has to be clear and focused at all times. I couldn't, because I couldn't fathom what was happening to me. I just couldn't understand. And I ended up having to leave my job, and I developed a really bad anxiety, really bad depression. I shut down. Like I literally like just let everything go to the wayside. Like my Mary Kay business, I stopped working it. I had to like literally run from my life. I had to remove myself and my children from our home that we got together and decorated together, and that was supposed to be like our starter home. I had to literally pack up life as what I knew it as, and just like run for dear life. I had no idea what was gonna happen next. I had no idea if I was gonna be able to start all over again with a young baby and a 5-year-old, and like no husband, and I couldn't focus to work my Mary Kay business to get extra cash like I had it before. So I had to put that to the side, and then I had to leave my full-time job. So here I am going backwards because of this depression and anxiety that develops from the abuse. You know, apart from the abuse, we were in and out of court. We had three, yeah, three restraining orders. And I don't understand the court system, because it's like, how do you have a restraining order against your husband that you live with? It was like, it was a lot. And then, you know, it was a lot. I don't want to get too much into certain things, but it was a lot. And literally my life was turning upside down. My children were at stake. I was at stake. My husband was at stake. Everything was at stake. And because I loved him so much, it's like I almost like gave him too many chances, and I always looked past. I always found it in me to look past everything and just say, okay, he's stressed out. He's trying to put everything together in his head, and you know, he's trying to find his way. And I just like, I loved him. I was so in love with him, but I guess I just I couldn't I couldn't see him the same. You know, it went from seeing him as my best friend to seeing him as my number one enemy. Like that. Like it was just like, it was crazy to me. And friends and family were already tapped out. They didn't care. Like I could be crying from a hospital or crying from the roadside, and they just like, girl, you on your own with that, because that's too much drama over there. So I literally had to find my way out on my own with my kids, and they were young. They didn't understand. They were just as confused as I was. And imagine being so broken and so hurt and so confused, and you have to put on a facade in front of your children like everything is okay, because you don't want them to see you hurting. I can honestly say, like, my kids, well, my first son witnessed most of the abuse. So now he's 6 and he still remembers everything. Sometimes he'll try to talk to me about it, and I try to just reassure him that, you know, daddy loves us, but he was just going through a hard time. And it breaks my heart, because now we're both like two lost souls. You know, my abuse journey has turned me into someone that I barely recognize. It has turned me into somebody that is more more cautious of everything and more hesitant, and I'm not as outgoing as I used to be. Put it like that. I am more fearful of everything around me. I fear, like, the minute I wake up, I'm having really bad anxiety. Sometimes it hits me so bad that I have to draw from my medication, or I have to turn my phone off. Sometimes I have to let my phone go off for months and just like stay in a house and just hide. Like, that's how bad my anxiety gets sometimes, and I'm not ashamed of it because I was literally traumatized. I was traumatized. This man was my world. He was my everything. We lived for each other. We did everything for each other. And it just went haywire. And he became my number one enemy. Like, I couldn't go anywhere without him pulling up and trying to attack me and the kids. It's like, it was a lot. It's a lot. Okay, a lot. Like, I just felt like I was a prisoner. And even though our divorce was finalized, it's still, it's almost as if still like I'm really like still a prisoner and still being abused, because, you know, as far as the kids is concerned, you know, he manipulates that whole situation to try to have his way with me. And I want my kids to have their father in their life. I want my kids to still have that unity with their dad, but to what extent of putting myself in danger again? And it's tough, it's rough, it's a real sticky situation, you know. He just, I don't know, you go from trusting someone to like terrified of them, because literally they could be in your face smiling but really plotting against you. Like, it's just like that. Like, you know, we went from a very calm, loving, respectful, prospering couple to Mortal Kombat, to can't even look at each other without yelling and screaming. And I'm like, it's mind-boggling. If I'm being honest, it's mind-boggling. After seeing, you know, a therapist for quite some time now, I understand. Now I could finally come to terms. But before that, I was mute. I was like a living zombie. I couldn't function. I would wake up in the morning, make the kids breakfast, and like that's it. Like, I wasn't eating. I wasn't trying to pick up the pieces. I wasn't like nothing. And I just couldn't even think straight. I was just like, what the hell just happened to me? You know, every time I look at my body, I see scars, bruises, stitches. Like, there was a point where I felt so dehumanized. I threw away every piece of lingerie that I owned. And I couldn't even sleep at night. I still have sleepless nights to this day. You see these bags right here? Okay. I'm not telling you no lie. I can't sleep. I have memories of my experiences. But the number one memory that sticks out to me is my mom. Because she loved my husband and she was rooting for us. And she saw the type of love that we had. And when she saw the abuse getting worse and worse, the last time I ended up in the hospital, she looked at me and she said, "Vanessa, enough is enough." And that moment sticks out for me because my mom is a quiet person. Like, she never interferes with my personal life. But for her to say that, with tears rolling down her face, I knew it was time to run for my life. I knew it was time to just, and I'm not sharing my story to make him seem like a villain. I'm sharing my story. There's two sides to a story, and I'm sharing my experience with domestic abuse and how I got through it, what started it from my perspective, and how I'm dealing with it now. Now, fast forward, we've been separated, divorced for 2 years now, and I'm picking up back the pieces. I'm doing my Mary Kay again. I'm back in nursing school trying to finish, and I'm working again. So I'm kind of back where I was before all of this started financially, but mentally I am a wreck. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to nobody. I'm a wreck. Um, if you want to say I'm insecure, you could say that, but I have a lot of stuff that I need to work on. Granted, I was in a traumatizing situation, and sometimes I wonder, like, how did I make it out alive, and how did I bounce back? Because like, I really thought I was gonna lose my mind. I really thought that my life was over, and I just thought that there was no bouncing back from this. That's what I thought, that's what I felt, and I was so down and out. Family was already frustrated, so they kind of like just deserted me. I didn't really hear from anyone, so it's just like it was me and my kids, and it's still like that. It's just me and my kids. We're out here picking up the pieces day by day. My oldest son, he's a little bit traumatized too, but I try to talk him through it. I try to keep him busy and keep him happy, because kids adapt to change, and this is a change. So I'm just hoping that sooner or later he'll be all right. um Abuse is no joke. Like, any type of abuse, whether it be physical, mental, verbal, abuse is abuse. And if you are in a situation where you feel like you're being abused, please just take a minute and just like take a step back. I'm not gonna tell you to leave the person, because to each his own, but just take a step back and start to like pay attention to the signs. There are always signs. There's domestic violence web charts. There's a website, I will try to link it below, and there's a chart for you to know the signs and rate your abuse, to know if it's really alarming, to know if you really gotta go. And there's a domestic violence hotline. And if you're talking to a close best friend or family, and they start to feel like something is up to, then take it into consideration, because 9 times out of 10, when you're in the situation yourself, it's hard to see. They're on the outside looking in, so they pretty have a good idea of what's going on. They don't have to know your personal business. It's just like it's seeable, and they could notice the changes in you too, because they know you as a person. They know how you are. So if they notice changes in your personality, then they just know like something is up. You don't have to get angry at anyone that raises an eyebrow. Like, just be very patient with the situation, and never ignore it because you love the person. No matter how much you love the person, don't ignore it. Don't endure it. It's not worth your sanity. It's not worth your peace, because it's just not. To allow someone to mentally break you down and physically break you down is not okay, because you're the one that has to try to put yourself back together after you done allowed this person to tear you apart. And it's the hardest shit ever. Like, take it from me, it's very hard, and I'm still working at it. I'm still trying to be patient and define who I know myself to be. And just take it as sometimes sometimes in life things are a stepping stone and they're a lesson to be learned. Just take it like that. Don't focus on the negativity. Don't doubt yourself like I did and start to question your worth. Don't do none of that, because all of that will sidetrack you into a deep depression and it's not worth it. um it's just not worth it. Always believe in you and always love you first before you can love anybody else. And stay positive. Empower yourself every chance you get. Do things daily to uplift yourself. Meditate daily. That helps me a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I need at least 5 minutes every morning to meditate before I get out of bed and start my day. I meditate and it just keeps my mind stable. Um, and allows me to feel courage to say, okay, today is another day, and we're gonna work at prospering, and we're gonna work at putting the pieces back together. And you just tell yourself that, that was yesterday. All you can look forward is today. All you can look forward to is now. So leave that in the past. You had no control over it. Sometimes we don't have any control over what happens to us in life. You could have the best career, you could have the best life. It happens to all of us. And sometimes we have no control over it. But you live and you learn. You get back up, you hold your head high, and don't let it break you. Let nothing in life break you. It's not worth it. Um, yeah, so I mean, I was in a deep depression and I finally came out of it. Now I could finally talk about it after 2.5 years. I could finally talk about it, and I'm sharing my experience and my recovery with you guys. I hope that I help someone out there, at least one person, to be able to talk about it or to accept it or to recognize what they're going through, because this is a serious topic. It's not a joke. It can affect you for the rest of your life if you let it. And as disappointing as abuse can be, it's an eye-opener. It is. It's a big eye-opener. And I wish I had listened to my parents and my friends and family when it first started. But at the time I just couldn't see and I didn't understand. There was a lot of things that happened that I didn't mention in this video, but just know that I was damn near dead, basically. And I'm here. And that's the best part about it. I'm still here. I made it out. I recovered. And now I can look forward to my future, whatever that entails. I'm not perfect. I still have a lot of things to work on. Individually, I feel like I've become more shallow. I feel like I've become very closed off because of it. And I feel like I've become a little bit of a bitch. Like, I just feel like that's what I became. I'm shallow. I don't care anymore, and I'm not connected to my feelings like I used to be. I'm very closed off, and I just want to be in my corner doing my thing. I don't want to be bothered by anybody. And domestic violence can do that to you. It can make you very closed off, and it's a process. But don't give up. Don't give up. You'll slowly but surely come back into your own. All those closed off feelings will harvest into better loving situations, and just always be optimistic about loving again and trusting again, because you never know. Always keep your guard up, but don't shut down and say you'll never love again. It's so typical of us women to do that. Just try to be better than that. Try to rise above the brokenness and hold your head high and keep going. Look forward to marriage again. Look forward to true love. Look forward to creating memories with someone. Maybe it just wasn't right with that person, but you can't use that experience with that person against everyone else that comes into your life, because then you're definitely not gonna ever experience love again, or you're definitely not gonna have anyone. So it's a catch-22, and you just try to find ways to heal. And if you're the type of person that wants to heal in private, you can. There are ways, you know. There are little prayers, there are meetings, there's websites, there's exercises, there's therapists. Like you can do it in private if you wish. Um, yeah, so thank you for watching. That was my story, and I'll see you again in another video. Bye.